What's up, Wargamers? Welcome back to World of Wargaming. I'm Isaiah. Today we're going to be getting into a new game. We're going to be playing some Blood Red Skies from Warlord Games. Blood Red Skies is a World War II airplane fighter plane game. We're going to be starting off with the very first kind of quick demo mission. It's called Hide and Seek, where we're going to be trying our best to showcase as many rules and mechanics as we can. But before we get into that, if you haven't considered hitting that like, subscribe, or bell notification, please consider doing that, as it really does help the channel grow and helps keep you aware of whenever new content gets posted, which is usually every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And let's get into this game of aerial combat with Blood Red Skies. Alright, what's up, friends? So we're about to get in here for this first game of Blood Red Skies. We're going to be playing the scenario 0, which is really kind of a training scenario, which is always the best place to start. So we're going to be starting off with, I'm going to be playing the Americans. I have two F4F Wildcats, one who is a leader, who is a 3. These numbers down here on their bases, those represent the level of the pilot, with 4 being the best, I believe, and 1 being an absolute rookie pilot. 3 is kind of middle of the road, and that affects who goes first in the round. The better your pilot, and then also your advantage or disadvantage, which we'll talk about in a second. But for now, 2 Wildcats versus, this uses the VAL stat line, but it's technically a bomber. I just don't have a bomber model, so I'm using the Type 99, the D3A Type 99 VAL in quotation marks. Now Jason has an option here where he can soup this particular VAL up. So the choice is to keep your guns and just stay a normal, regular model of the plane, or become a super stripped down, high-speed reconnaissance version of the plane where you are sacrificing all of your guns for extra speed. And he's chosen the speed because, again, his goal is to just fly off of my table edge. So before we get to deployment, we've got our deck set up, which with just these small number of planes isn't many cards. I've got 4 cards. I think Jason has 3. Some of them you play before deployment, such as my radar support. Some of them you play during a turn. A lot of them you'll play during, like, when a plane shoots or when a plane is shot at. Some of them can come back to your hand, which we'll talk about when that happens. But there are little things that help you modify or enhance or change, give you better odds on completing a task or a shot or whatever. Before we can actually deploy, we get to take turns putting out 3 clouds. So the clouds block line of sight. They also affect your level of advantage when you fly into them, which, again, we're going to talk about advantage in just a second. Roll a dice to see who places the first cloud. I got a 6. You got a 4, so I'm going to put a cloud right there. You can choose whichever one you want. Right there. All right, and then I'm going to put one right there. Having deployed our clouds, we're ready to deploy our models. I think the recon element deploys first. So when you deploy your plane, you roll a d6. So Jason, roll us a d6. He got a 6. So we consult the chart, and he will start his plane as advantaged. So when you're advantaged, you're tilted back, and then when you're straight up, you're neutral. Will you show us straight up, Jason?
How far do we go?
Jason, will you tilt it straight up for me for a second? Pivot it up, yeah. So then if you're straight up like this, you're at neutral, and will you go all the way over for me too? And if you're all the way over like this, you are at disadvantage. When the turn activates, advantage planes activate first, and they activate in the order of the pilot's skill. So it behooves you to be advantaged as much as possible. Also, if you're disadvantaged, you can't really shoot at anybody. So Jason has deployed his plane advantaged within 12 inches of his table edge. I'm going to roll for my leader, who will also start advantaged. So with the radar, and I forgot to do this for him, but it doesn't matter because I rolled a 6. So I get to take a maneuver test here because of my radar. And if I roll a success, I automatically start advantaged. So as we come into the round, advantaged planes activate first, and it goes in the order of the pilot skill. So Jason's pilot skill 4 would activate first. Now, if Jason had a 4 and I also had a 4, it would come down to the actual plane speed. So like the Wildcat moves at 320 miles per hour, and the Val moves at
242 normally,
plus,
since I took the advantage for speed, it's 292.
292, and then so it comes down to the actual miles per hour that the plane flies, as far as who will activate first. So when your plane activates, it goes in a certain order. If you have something within your range to shoot, which is 6 inches in your front arc, you can shoot. Then you go to the next step where you can burn advantage. So if you are advantaged, you can drop down to neutral, and you can either make a 180-degree turn at any point in your move, which replaces your normal 45-degree turn, or you can dive to add an extra 6 inches to your maximum movement this turn, which is pretty solid. After you burn your advantage or not, you can choose to move, which is to move your whatever your speed is. So for example, 6 on the Wildcat. You move your speed, and then you can pivot up to 45 degrees. After your move, you can make a pilot action, which is now if you have something in your range, you can shoot. You can outmaneuver, which is if you have a plane within 9 inches, you can try to force them down out of advantage. So from advantage to neutral, or from neutral to disadvantage. And we'll discuss the mechanics of how that works when we get to it, which we will, because Jason's going to be relying on it pretty heavily throughout the match. Or you can choose to climb and raise your advantage. So climb from disadvantage to neutral, or from neutral to advantage. So that's the order of the turn. Then you end the activation and you place a zoom token beside it, which in a small game like we're playing right now, this kind of intro demo game, is not incredibly important. But if you're playing larger games with many planes on the table, it becomes much more important to keep up with which ones have activated in a phase. So Jason doesn't have anything to shoot at. So we'll go to his...
I am going to burn my
advantage to drop to neutral.
To add 6 additional inches.
Okay. Seems legit.
Initial speed.
Mm-hmm. So when you fly into a cloud, you shift to neutral. Whatever you're at, you drop to neutral. So if you're advantaged, you drop to neutral. If you're at disadvantage, you go up to neutral. Whenever you enter the clouds. And while you're in them, they can't really see you. And then you get a pivot.
45.
Outstanding. So then it comes to me and my friends. And then both of my planes, I don't burn any advantage or any maneuvers or anything. I'm just going to move forward, take my 45-degree pivot, and then we'll go back to the next round. So it'll go. I would activate first with both of my advantage planes. You know, go at least half your movement. So we're going to go 4. And then give a little pivot. And then we'll go over here. 4. We'll go the full 6 here. We'll give a little pivot. Then it would go to that's all the advantage planes. So then it would go to the neutral plane, which is Jason. Okay. Or climb. Okay, we circle back to Jason and his Japanese plane. So he's burning it.
Not quite 45.
So burning advantage. Are you burning advantage?
Advantage.
Okay.
To make the turn for the movement.
Got you. Roger.
I have to move a minimum of half of my distance.
Correct.
Here.
Okay.
And I will outmaneuver your pilot.
Okay, so here with an outmaneuver, because his pilot rating is higher than mine, it's automatic. So I just go up to neutral, or I drop down to neutral. If we had been the same, or if he had been higher than me, it would have been a maneuver test. So the target of the thing would roll their pilot skill plus whatever their bird looking value is. So for me, it would be 3 dice, or I would have 4 dice there. And you're looking for 6s pretty much all the time in this game. So no 6s there, so I would be outmaneuvered. It then comes to me with an advantaged plane, which is my lower level pilot. Would you hand me the widget, please, sir? Thank you, friend. And I don't want to burn any advantage here because I want to be able to try to shoot at him. I don't think I'm going to be able to get there.
You won't be in my front arc. You'll probably have to burn advantage and then climb at the end.
Well, I don't have to be in your front arc. You have to be in my front arc.
Well, I won't be in your front arc after
I don't,
move 3.
I don't think you will either. But it's still what I'm going to do because I can still pivot. Oh, I don't know.
You got a little more pivot.
But that's still, like, that's enough, though. Like, that, if I'm in range, that's enough.
Ooh, you are.
So that is enough. That is enough. So in shooting, you can only shoot at models that are at a lower advantage level than you. So because I'm advantaged and he's neutral, I can shoot at him. So I'm going to roll my firepower, which is 2, plus my star rating, which is 2, plus 1 because his plane is vulnerable, which gives me an extra attack, gives me an extra dice whenever I shoot at him. I'm also going to play a card. I'm going to play Rogue. Nope, not that one. Nope, not that one. Maybe I'm not going to play a card. I thought I had one that applied here. Yep, here it is. Superior Armament. I'm going to play this to give me 1 more dice to the attack. So I've got 6 dice here, and I'm looking for 6s. I have a 6. So right here we have a situation called deflection shooting. Because I am shooting into his side arc, and because obviously a plane is moving very, very fast through the sky, he gets to choose whether to use his speed, or his maneuver to try to dodge it. Normally a dodge test is just your maneuver plus your star. Because it's from the side though, he can use his speed, which he obviously will, so he'll have a lot of dice here. Looking for a single 6.
I have 4 stars.
Yep.
5 speed, plus 1 for not having guns.
Yep. That is accurate. So a whole bunch of dice. He just needs a 6. Okay, multiple 6s. So normally right here, I hit him, but I didn't do damage. So if I had dealt damage, he would have dropped down a level of advantage. Like if the hit had gone through. Normally, regardless of whether or not you deal that damage, you would give them a boom chit. Boom chits are how you win or lose the game. Now he has one of the cards in his deck is outnumbered, so he ignores the first boom chit that plane would take. So that's the end of the activation for that plane. The superior armament has a chance to be retained with a gunnery test. Will you hand me some dice, please, sir? So I'm rolling my star rating plus my firepower here, looking for a 6. I get a 6, so that card goes back into my hand. And then we go to my leader plane here, who is going to move his 6. No, he's going to move his 3. And then let me get the other widget. Pivot there. And then he's going to try to outmaneuver here.
But I am going to play...
So he's going to play one of his cards, which is poorly trained opponents, which forces me to take a test when I do a pilot action. So I got to take a maneuver test, which I do not pass. So no action. And that'll bring us to the next go round. Yep. So I will have the first activation.
And you will shoot.
And I will start by shooting. That is correct. So again, I have star power 2, firepower 2, 1 for vulnerable, and then I'm going to play superior armament again. No successes. So then I get to move. I'll move.
Minimum of 3.
Minimum of 3, which will take me to right there.
A little short.
It was right up to the edge of his base was 3 inches. And then I will shoot again.
I
Oh,
will
wait.
play poorly trained opponents. Oh, you have to retain your...
Well, the retain happens at the end.
Oh.
Retain happens at the end.
Because this is a pilot action, and I can only use it on pilot
Yep.
actions, I'm going to use it here.
Okay.
Failed shoot.
That's fine. So Jason will move his 6, pivot, and then climb to advantaged, which will bring it to my friend who is in neutral, who will move 6. And then do a pivot. And then try to outmaneuver.
Yeah, I can't stop it.
So you got to try to take the. You got to. You're higher than me, so you have to take a maneuver test here.
Yeah. I get
You'd have 6 dice.
2 for maneuver.
Yep, 2 for your maneuver and then 4 for your pilot. That is correct. No successes, so he drops down to neutral there, which will give me the opportunity to shoot at him, which is good. So we'll
This
go.
turn.
No, it won't be
Or
this.
the beginning of the next
The very beginning of the next turn,
and
yeah.
the end of next turn.
And hopefully the end of it, yes. All right, so that goes to next round. So I'm going to start with my advantage plane, who's going to go to here, which will be 3 inches. And then we'll do a little pivot, which puts me like a dead-on tail and fire shot there. So I finished my movement here, behind him. So he's in currently neutral. So when I drop in behind him, fully in 6 inches away, within 6 inches, and all within his rear arc, that is tailing fire, which immediately reduces that plane to disadvantage. And then we will go to the shots.
And for you to be able to shoot me, you must pass the maneuver test.
Sure. 3. Passed. Super passed. Eat it.
Yep.
Suck it! So that's going to be 4 base, 1 for vulnerable, and 1 for superior armaments. Ooh, that's a big hit. That's a crit. That's a bunch of hits.
I only get 4 dice because you are directly behind me. I only get my maneuver.
Correct. Wait, if you only get your maneuver, you would have 2 dice.
And
sorry, okay.
Oh, sorry. You beat me by 2. It's a critical hit.
That's a critical hit. So then after shooting, he's going to die either way. So the only way to actually shoot a plane down is if that plane is disadvantaged, which he is because of when I dropped in with that tailing fire. So if he were neutral and the damage pushed through, he would take a damage, he would drop down to disadvantage and get the boom chit, which in this case, with him only having 1 plane, the boom chit would be enough for the American victory, because once you have boom chits equal to the number of planes that you control, you lose. So that does it for this first. I know this is a quick one. We tried to hit on as many of the rules as we could, but that's a quick kind of overshot of Blood Red Skies from Warlord Games. Thanks so much for tuning in, hanging out while we flew around the Pacific. I hope you have an absolutely amazing rest of your day. And as always, I'd like to say a big, huge, from the bottom of my heart, thank you to our patrons who support us and pledge to us over on Patreon. You guys are the absolute best. If you enjoyed the content you saw here today and that's something that you would like to consider doing to help out the channel, go over there, check out the link in the description, check out the Patreon. There's a lot of cool stuff over there, including access to our Discord server. Talk to me, hang out with me, talk about our work, what we got going on in the hobby. some shout outs, all kinds of cool stuff. Check it out if that's something that you think you would be into. And regardless of whether or not you do that, I want you to know that I am incredibly grateful that you decided to stop by and spend part of your day with me today, rolling dice and pushing toy soldiers around. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. And as always, may the dice be ever in your favor.